Okay, so good morning, and we're going to be talking today to Lorraine from Down Below Physio. So really looking forward um, to hearing all that she has to say about keeping ourselves well. I suppose women of all ages, and I'm hoping there'll be a few tips as well for the men. So I'll just bring Lorraine in. Okay,
Hi, how
Lorraine.
are you?
Hi. So you're very welcome, Lorraine. So I was just saying, I
Thank you,
suppose that
Pam.
looking forward to hearing some tips for women, and I'm hoping maybe there might be one or two for men as well. I'm not so
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. I think
Okay,
men sometimes forget they have pelvic floors and they need just as much advice and information sometimes as the women as well. Yeah.
okay, great. So maybe just tell me a little bit about yourself, Lorraine.
So I am a pelvic floor physiotherapist and I'm a Pilates instructor as well. I mainly focus on pregnancy and postnatal Pilates as well. But the pelvic floor physiotherapy is at the heart of everything I do. So essentially, I work with anyone with pelvic health issues like incontinence, prolapse, pelvic pain, anything like that. And I work with near my clinic in Donegal. And then I have online services. In the last few years, I've created a lot of online services. So I now have the online pelvic floor training, and I also have online Pilates as well. So that's come on really well. I think that there's such a need for online services now, and I think now more than ever we're realizing that. That's been there for the last few years because I wanted mums and especially like mums not being able to leave the house to have
Yeah,
access to information and exercises. But now more than ever, with everyone having to self-isolate, it's actually more important than ever to have online resources. So it's something a lot more people are focusing on now. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, the online seems to have really came into the fore. I suppose no more than yourself, Lorraine. We're doing it with 9 years, the online counselling
Yeah.
side of things. So and also no more than yourself of seeing that there was a real need for it. You know that there is a need
Yeah.
there. That not everybody can go and do face to face or that.
That's
Yeah. So just I suppose before we get started, that maybe if some of our listeners, maybe if they have any questions that they'd like to put
absolutely
to you,
yeah.
that would be really great. So I see that you were on Ireland AM as well. Um,
Yeah, I was on Ireland AM there a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about pelvic floor exercises and how to do, a contraction, because that's what I find a lot of people have the most difficulty with over the years. When people come into me in the clinic, you could nearly divide it into two categories, what people want help with. They want to find out about the how to. So it's the
yeah,
how to squeeze, how to know I'm doing it right, how many to do, how often, how long is it going to take. It's all the hows, the practical elements of contracting. And then the second part of it is the motivation and consistency. How do I stay, like once now I know what to do, how do I keep doing it? I'm really good for a few days and then I forget. And then I get
yeah.
distracted and then I go do loads of them all one day and then I forget. So the second part then is, the reminders, the motivation, the goal setting, the structure of how you fit it into your day and when and things like that. So I work with both elements of that with my clients. It's not just a case of teaching them how to do it and away you go. It's more a matter of checking back in and setting up that routine, whether it's an app on the phone, as we say, everything's going online now, whether it's an app
Mhm,
or whether it's
mhm.
a very straightforward poster on the wall, it's just creating a healthy habit. Can take a little bit of time and can take a wee bit of consistency as well. So it's the hard part as well. So we talked about that on Ireland AM, and it was great. It was a great response to it. Actually, there was a lot of people messaging me about pelvic floor health after the show. So it's obviously something that affects so many people, in some way or another, no matter what age you are. So it was quite relevant for a lot of people.
And as well, I suppose as well, Lorraine, that sometimes it can be such a delicate matter that people don't
Yeah.
want, they can be embarrassed about it, and are afraid maybe to talk about it or to ask questions about it. Yeah. So
Yeah, I think I have a lot of ladies messaging me saying that, they've been meaning to message me for a while. They were wanting to do it for ages. They were putting it off because, they were a bit embarrassed or they just didn't know what to expect.
yeah,
And then I think a lot of people are actually quite pleasantly surprised when they do come in for a pelvic health assessment with myself. It's quite a private, quiet, confidential space to talk about whatever they want to speak about. And they're always kind of leaving saying, "Oh God, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be." So, and they're delighted they've made that move to do something, positive for themselves, to make a
Absolutely.
change.
And you can only imagine the relief, probably, because there would have been maybe issues. So if you were to talk about some of the issues that somebody would have, a man or woman would have coming to you, what issues would they be coming with?
There's a range. It would be anything from, bladder or bowel, leaking, or issues with the bladder bowel control. It could be urgency, frequency, dash into the toilet quite often, or not being able to hold on. Same with, bladder or bowel. And I think with the bowel, especially, as you were saying, it's just such. It's so important to them to get that right, because it's not just a physical issue; it's a social issue. Whenever they're dealing with, is everyone smelling this, or can I go there? And it affects intimate relationships and everything. And then painful sex, issues with sex, after having a baby, if there's scar tissue, if you've got tight muscles, sex can be quite painful. And again, that's something a lot of people don't open up about very easily, but it is something that's great to have a place to talk about. Pelvic organ prolapse is the other one. A lot of women have pelvic organ prolapse, and a huge amount of people are putting up with it before they actually realise there's a service there to help them, or before they make use of the service, So, and then pelvic girdle pain in pregnancy would be another big one as well that I have a lot of women come to me for as well.
Okay. Yeah. So the girdle pain in pregnancy, that's towards the end of the pregnancy, is it, or?
It can be from any time, really. I generally see pelvic girdle pain starting from about 15 to 25 weeks is that time frame for me when I see most people presenting with it, because that's the time when bump starts to grow most. The bump is starting to make its presence felt, so that mechanically overloads the system if there's a wee imbalance there, and it's when hormones are starting to really fluctuate and change. So it's just that time where everything starts to just hit the tipping point, and the pain starts to kick in. So I always say to people, if you can get the warning signs of pelvic girdle pain early, it's so much easier to treat it when it's in its early stages, rather than waiting until it's really severe and very irritable. It's very hard to settle it back down at that stage. So the sooner you notice little signs of pain or issues in pregnancy, the sooner the better to get it treated, for sure.
Yeah. And I suppose coming then into menopause is another area where women issues start to present or show themselves.
Definitely, because I find, a lot of women have maybe their children, and they might have some wee mild issues, but nothing terribly bothersome. That sometimes doesn't, mean that they go and seek help for it. Maybe slight wee leaks or slight wee weaknesses. And they kind of keep it there in the background over the years, for maybe having had the babies. And then over the years, the muscles just gradually age and weaken a little bit anyway. Then we have menopause, and the hormone levels change, estrogen lowers, and that really affects, the strength and the lubrication of the tissues there. And then that all coincides with a time when women maybe find that they're suddenly maybe retiring, family are leaving the roost, and they have all this time to themselves. So they go, I'm going to go out now and I'm going to exercise. I'm going to do a new class. I'm going to start couch to 5K. And it's a combination of everything that just hits them so hard all of a sudden. They start loading high impact exercise or new exercise on top of the hormone changes, on top of the gradual weakening over the years, on top of the old trauma from childbirth, and everything just suddenly means that they notice, I'm leaking now, I've never noticed this bad before, or they have a sudden kind of development of a prolapse, and it's there all of a sudden, and just the time when they have more free time for themselves, they've finished work, family's reared, and all of a sudden then they realize their pelvic health really needs that focus then. So I have a lot of women coming to me in that age range with those issues. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so it can be really traumatic for a woman in that situation, that her whole world is changing and shifting, and I'm trying to look after myself, and bang. So that can be really hard.
Yeah, and the same, I suppose, I mean, men who have a lot of prostate issues as well. Again, it's that, I think it's very difficult again for men of that age as well, if they're having had maybe prostate surgery or prostate cancer treatment, and then they find themselves leaking or having, sexual dysfunction. Again, they're at that age range and they're suddenly having to, wear, incontinence underwear, and they're limited in what they can do. And again, I think they struggle with it as well. It's that age range, for both men and women and their pelvic health. Really, it's so important, and it's their pelvic health can make the difference between whether they, have enjoyment in their days and their lives, or whether they're, that they're able to get up and get out and get active. And, it's, and even just from a point of view of the relationships as well, it affects everything. So it's so important for them to have somewhere and someone to help them with it.
Yeah, so it is that, isn't it? These are the stresses that are going on in people's lives that we don't know about. I suppose, we all sort of
it's
know.
Under the surface.
Absolutely. We all know this stress of the coronavirus,
Yeah.
and what that's doing to us all collectively. But everybody has their own issues going on underneath that surface. Like, as you said, people that are, may have prolapse or may have had cancer and pregnant, all of these things are there. And it's like that there are supports.
And I think it's such an intimate issue as well, and that's maybe why it's very hard, because people feel very alone. If someone had a sore back and they had a disc injury and they were in bad form with it, maybe they didn't sleep well the night before and they were in pain, they can come into their work and someone go, "Oh, are you in bad form today?" And they go like, "Oh yeah, my back is sore and I went to the doctor and this is what happened." But when it's a pelvic health issue, most people don't want to, they kind of go, "Oh no, I'm okay," because they don't necessarily feel comfortable talking openly about their prolapse or their bowel health or their sex life, or they don't feel comfortable opening up and saying, "Well, this has me in bad form. This is why I'm in a bad mood today, or why I'm sore." It's so much easier to talk about a straightforward physical health issue, because there's an element of it being quite a private, intimate, aspect of this. That's so much harder for them to feel like they're very alone dealing with it as well. They don't necessarily talk to even family members. So, that's why it's nice then to have that person that they can open up to and say, "Well, this is, it's been a bad week with this." It's quite important, because I definitely find pelvic health, it's not just a physical issue, it's a social and an emotional and a mental. It affects everything. It affects mindset and social life and everything. It has a knock-on effect.
Absolutely. And there's something about, isn't it, the taboo subjects, and seeing that, that yes, this is and shouldn't be. It's a part of us. We all have pelvises. We all have all of this going on. Male have theirs and female have theirs. And it's something like, I suppose mental health maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago would have been very taboo, where now thankfully we're beginning to open it up and see actually every one of us have mental health issues, just like every one of us may have pelvic issues on some level. So it's actually being human, but that actually we are all the same. I suppose we're seeing it differently, while we may have different issues going on.
I think there's a lot more openness, like a lot more people are talking about their pelvic health and about, sex and prolapse. And, I even noticed this week on Facebook that there's a little, a little questionnaire going around on Facebook, about, your birth. So it's like maybe like a mom saying, "Okay, my baby was this age, it was delivered by C-section, this was," and it's quite nice because it's people like starting to open up for just even about birth. There's, there was a terrible time when people were like, "Oh, it's the things you don't talk about." And, I think that there's a lot more openness now. And I find that there's a great response. People would say to me, "Oh, it's great, you're talking about this." So I think people do want to talk about it. And it's just starting the process. As you say, we have to start somewhere. People are so much more open now to talking about their mental health, and they're much more aware that everyone has their issues. And I think it's going that way with pelvic health as well. It absolutely is. I'm actually an ambassador for a company called My Pelvic Floor, which gives these great t-shirts. It's a global charity organization. So I'm an ambassador for the global charity called My Pelvic Floor Muscles, and their big focus is on giving information, sharing information about pelvic health. And what they do, actually, it's a lady, she's based in America, but she translates all the information. She's starting to translate it into 20 plus languages throughout the world, so that the information is there. She's some great visuals and little pictures and videos explaining the processes. And I think that's brilliant. So My Pelvic Floor Muscles is great. If anyone is online to look up My Pelvic Floor Muscles, they're fantastic at giving the information.
Okay, that would be great. So if it's okay with you, Lorraine, to put a link up
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
that, and
Yeah,
to yourselves, that would be really great. And while you were talking there, I'm remembering back because I suppose I remember a time when some women, when they were pregnant, they would hide their bump. They would be that embarrassed that
yeah,
thankfully we've came quite a good bit, but it's not that long ago where even to be seen to be pregnant was nearly taboo.
yeah.
That was hidden. So
And I
it's
think
amazing.
social media is changing all of that. Now you have so many people on social media, having like, with a photo with the bump out, just a little crop top on, or,
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
it's all about actually now showing the bump and, being proud of the bump. And it's
Oh,
definitely,
yeah.
I think social media has definitely, changed that hugely. Yeah. And it's
Yeah, and
great to see,
absolutely, absolutely. So, just I suppose before we finish up, Lorraine, just to say how life is for you with all that's going on around. What's
yeah.
your focusing?
Well, it's been, I mean, it's been a big change. I think it's, I think I'm only just getting into a bit of a rhythm of the new routine now, 2 weeks in. Obviously my clinic that I operate from is closed at the moment, but I am doing online consultations and they've actually been working really well. Obviously with pelvic health, I like to see the one-to-one so I can do a clinical exam, but at the same time, there's a huge amount that I can do. I've had new clients, contact me, and we've done a lot of online consultations for new clients this week, and it's been working really well. And they've been delighted to get the input now rather than having to wait 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks. We don't know how long. So the online consultations are working really well, and the online programming that I have pelvic floor programs for weak muscles, for tight muscles, and then I have the Pilates. So at least that's there for people to make use of because at least they may not be able to come in and get their exercise therapy in person, but they can log in online and they can use it there, and it works out less than €1 a day, about €5 a week, so it's quite accessible for them.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's been a bit of a challenge for me. I think the same as everyone, just getting used to a new routine. I'm used to being up and out at the gym every day, having to modify my own exercise routine, but I do think it's so important to still keep up that routine. Like I'm getting up and I'm putting on my makeup and I'm getting fully dressed and I'm doing some kind of a wee exercise routine every day, because for the first few days I wasn't, and I just felt my energy was lower and I wasn't as motivated, and you were just sluggish. So I think it's
Yeah,
about keeping to routine, even if nobody might see me someday with my little bit of makeup on. If I look in the mirror and I just feel a bit more lively, and you've got
absolutely.
that process to put on, and
Yeah.
just getting up and moving, and getting up at the right time, and just sticking to the routine, because otherwise, I think it can be very easy just to get quite low. Yeah, so
No,
it's
absolutely. Yes. I think so important that our routine, as best as we can, that we can keep some sort of, because
yeah,
we're anxious anyways with all that's going on. And when our routine goes out of sync, that throws us out of sync. So it's really,
yeah,
really important. And I suppose I'm sort of thinking about for the pelvic muscles and all of that stuff, that now there's a lot of free time, and now might be a
yeah,
time to really put some work into the pelvic floor if that's an issue for you,
yeah, because that's when
while
there's less
while you're off,
distractions. Yeah,
and
because
and
there's less
and put
distractions
that,
than ever when we're under
yeah,
pressure, so we can set up the routine. And if the habit is created over 2 or 3 weeks, when things go back to normal and life gets a bit busier, it's so much
yes,
easier to keep it going then when it's already set in place.
when
So
it's all
now
right.
is an ideal time to get pelvic floor health absolutely started and underway. 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Really, that's really great, Lorraine. There aren't any questions, but I'm sure there's lots of people that are going to be watching this and will
Yeah.
watch it probably on repeat. And
And absolutely, if anyone wants to contact me with any pelvic health issues they
yes,
have, they can get in touch with me on any of the social media. I'm online as Down Below Physio, or the website is downbelowphysio.ie. So if anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to, chat to them and offer them advice and information and guide them into the right resource.
yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
And the area you're based in is Letterkenny. Is
I'm
that's right?
based in American, yeah.
Okay,
And funny,
yeah,
it's actually since the online consultations have been going on, I've actually had yesterday and Saturday, I had a few consultations with people down in the Dublin, Greater Dublin area.
okay,
So it's been, at least with the online, it opens it up that even if I'm in Letterkenny, I can still speak to someone in Cork or Waterford, and
Absolutely.
great. Yeah.
No, it is. Yeah. So
But
it
the
is.
online programs is like having me in, but the online programs is like having me in your living room exercising with you anyway, and then skating and instructing you. So yeah, it carries.
It carries, which is great. And I know you said something about that you like to have the physical consultation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember being at a talk with another lady that done the Down Below Physio in the Mayo area. Now her name just I can't remember it at the minute, and it was just fabulous to listen to what you have to say and the work that you're doing, which is really great. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, I must say I'm very lucky. I do really love my work, and it's a great job. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, which is really great. Okay, so thank you very much, Lorraine. And I hope anybody that's listening, or that if they have any questions, that they can message you.
Absolutely. It is quite private and sometimes quite confidential, so they can message me absolutely 100%.
Great. That's really great. Thanks a million, Lorraine. Okay.
Thank you very much for having me on, Lorraine. Thank you. Bye. Bye.